What do you believe happens when we die? Um, I'm gonna skip that question just because I feel like I'll go on a tangent about that. So, yeah. Do you believe in ghosts? I, f- I, if maybe was the answer, I would do it. I would say yes, just because I feel like a little bit superstitious and not the way how they convey it in TV shows and stuff, but I do feel like, you know, um, kind of tying, I guess, like with like what happens when we die and stuff. Like I do feel like there is some remnants of people that are left behind once they pass. So in general, I think I do believe in ghosts. Do you believe the moon landing was a hoax? I think it's real. I think we have the technologies and stuff to like show that like, we have land on the moon. Um, maybe isn't real, but I do believe it, and I'm not gonna spend the time or energy to try to like disprove it. So for now, we'll say yes. Is being an adult what you thought it would be? Um, no, I thought it was gonna be harder. I still feel like a kid, honestly. Even though I think I said I'm 25. Like, yes, there are some hard things to do. Like, I maybe I'm biased because of accountants, so I know how to do taxes and like I do try to like manage my finances and stuff. But um, yeah, like I felt like college or like especially high school, they're like making college and seem like it's like the hardest thing in the world. And I don't think it's the hardest thing in the world. It's just like having good discipline. I think that's the important thing with being adult. It's just like having good discipline. Because if you don't, then like school, like college is hard. Managing your finances is hard. Trying to have good relationships with people is hard. So I say like some discipline goes a long way for being an adult. And thankfully, like my dad's like kind of instilled that within me. Of course, I could always be more disciplined, but um, I'll probably say I'm more disciplined than most or than the average person. Are you satisfied where you are in life? Yeah, I would say so. Um, I'm happy with where I am right now. Of course, like I'm trying to get better every day, basically. But um, from when I was a kid, um, I would never imagine I would be where I am right now. And it was just like I would say I didn't push myself a lot as a kid. I spent time with my brothers and like with friends, video games and stuff, and be distracted. Um, but as I got into college, I kind of just like push myself a little bit more. So I am very happy that I did push myself, and I'm trying to, like I said, trying to get back that same groove. But I am happy where I am. I'm blessed to be where I am right now. If you could walk in someone else's shoes per day, who would it be? Um, that's a very good question. Um, I'm gonna skip it because I don't have a good answer for that. How often do you find yourself feeling out of place? You know, I would say I've always felt out of place, and I'm not trying to say that to like sound like depressing or anything like that, but as a kid, so I'm like Caucasian and Hispanic. I look more white, and yeah, it's one of my cats. But both my parents speak Spanish. My dad's mom or my grandma, she was from Mexico. Both of my parents or both of my mom's parents are like they're pretty Hispanic as well, but a little more white complected and stuff. My parents didn't teach me to speak Spanish for different reasons. Um, so when I was being raised in my city, I was kind of teased a bit in elementary and junior high because I didn't speak Spanish and everyone spoke Spanish around me because, like I said, I was so close to Mexico basically, and yeah, it was a little hard growing up a little bit like that. Um, and then when I went to college, part of it was in my hometown, so still that like like there's the white guy or whatever type of deal. Um, was something I already got used to at that point. But then once I moved to like another city for my master's in Texas as well, um, I kind of stuck out a little bit because like people told me literally like, oh, like what are you? It's like you're white but you're something else. It's like are you Hispanic or are you like I've heard like I don't know like Middle Eastern Arabic as well. I don't know, it's because my eyebrows are a little thick. I get this from my dad. Um so yeah, I like people have always tried to like figure me out of where I am. I just tell them like, oh, just Hispanic and Caucasian really. I'm sure there's other stuff too, but yeah, like in terms of like, when people look at me, they're always like they know I'm American, but like I'm also something else too. So like appearance wise or ethnic wise, like I feel like that's always made me feel a little bit out of place. And I also say like some people say I act like an old man sometimes, so there's also that. Um, maybe act older than my age or like take things seriously sometimes. So trying to get better at that. Let's see. When was the last time you had a really good time? Um, so whenever when I'm in with my brothers or with my friends from high school, it feels like I'm back to like when I didn't have a lot of cares in the world because like I am happy where I'm at, but um I do feel like I'm more responsible for more things now, if that makes sense. So it's kind of good to, hang out with friends and be reminded of times like I didn't have a lot on my plate. So when I'm with them, it it's always a good time. So I visited home maybe like a month and a half ago, so I would say that was a really good time. Seeing my friends and my brothers. What's a vice of yours that you feel embarrassed about? Um, so like I say, I sometimes I try not to be serious, but like I feel like naturally with like trying to be disciplined, I am somewhat serious sometimes. So like with social gatherings, like I could be a little stiff at first, but once you start talking or drinking a lot, maybe not worrying about the things I have to do, then I get like a bit better. Um, but sometimes I could be a little bit serious sometimes. Like not trying to be a buzzkill with people, but just like um how do I say just like trying to make myself feel okay of having a fun time instead of like working and worrying about things, if that makes sense. Um, what's something you spend too much money on? Uh, it's a good question. Um, I'd say I'm pretty good now. I last year I did like I feel like once I moved out of my hometown, like I bought like 10 different pairs of shoes in 1 year, so that's like one thing. Um, yeah, I guess it used to be clothes, but like I've run out of like hangers, so it's not really clothes now. Um, yeah, I would say I would say clothes. We'll say clothes for now. Um, let's see. What's something you are self-conscious about? So I think I mentioned this in the previous question where it's like maybe I'm too serious or I feel like too old for my age. So when people like want to go dancing and stuff, like if it's like a big group of people, like I'll do it, but um like yeah, I would say like dancing I get like just some like stage fright or like I get like too in my head about it. So like if I'm drinking and stuff like it's a lot easier for me to do it, but trying to dance like just naturally like it doesn't feel natural to me. Just with like if I have enough drinks in me maybe, but naturally it doesn't feel natural. So maybe dancing or just like taking myself too seriously. So yeah, that's that. What's something you spend Oh, I already answered that question. Do you have money set aside for retirement? Yes, I do. As an accountant, someone that studied like finance and stuff, like I will say, while you're young, please just like make it a habit of like, you know, putting some money aside, like, you know, at least like a little bit every year or like a good amount, like when you're pretty young, because like that compound interest, like it does add up. Um, I have a couple friends. I told them like, hey, if you just put in, 3 to 5 thousand a year, um, with raises with compound interest, like you'll have $1 million like when you retire at least. And that's not even, companies they match and all that stuff. Like if you just like put a couple coins in the piggy bank every year, or you really go hard that like pretty early, and investments like I would say like ETFs, stuff that follow like the US market generally, like the US market, hopefully it won't like bankrupt by the time I retire. I severely doubt it, but if you do safe investments like that, like it should yield pretty good returns once you retire. So yeah, short answer, yeah, I do have money set aside to retire. How old do you think you'll be when you retire? Um, so the thing is, like, I think I'll have enough money once I can like once I can draw it out. I forget the age. It's like 65 or like 67 or something. The thing is, it's like I'm someone that um always want to feel busy in some way or like feel occupied. So even when that age does come, I think I'll still want to work, maybe a little bit less, but I feel like I can't think myself of like sitting at home all day, not giving value to society or to people and stuff. Like I I get like utility from like talking to people and like teaching them things and like learning things and all that stuff. So it's hard to say. So I would say like by 80 for sure I would probably be retired because like I'm probably not helping a lot of people at that point. It's probably better if I just sit at home and just like I don't know, play music or keep myself occupied because by that age I'm probably not saying 80-year-olds are not useful, but I feel like me as an 80-year-old, I'll probably not be so useful. So there's that. Let's see. We're getting there. How much money do you think you would need to feel rich? Um, so studies show that if you make above 100,000, your utility or your happiness like doesn't really go up as much. That's because like whatever you get is proportionate. So for example, it's like, you know, if I get a new Honda car or something like that's gonna make me really happy and stuff. And that's what saved like my stipend of like say we'll say it's 40,000. Uh, someone like say 100,000. Instead of a Honda, it's now like a I don't know like a BMW or it's a Mercedes or something. Like that'll be their good car, their happy car. And then say if you make 200, 300, 500. I don't know, 1 million, and you get, I don't know, some supercar, some like Porsche or something like, then that'll make you feel happy. But it's like, whatever we always think in proportions. So it's like when you get past 100,000, like you get the same happiness as like a poor person getting like a less fancy car, if that makes sense. So our happiness, I feel like, doesn't change all that too much past that. And I think I do agree with that. So for me, feeling rich, like if I get paid 100,000 a year, uh, and if I invest it right, like I feel like I can go a long way with it. But for me to like not, worry about investing and all that stuff, I don't know, like 300,000, all that stuff, maybe, but I feel like I would already feel rich with 100,000, honestly. Um, what's the best job you ever had? The best job I ever had was, I would say being a TA, which is also why I'm doing like a PhD. It's like I always liked teaching people and like getting that aha moment with students because like it gives me a chance to like talk to them kind of like personally or like in these small groups. I get to know about them and I give them value by just like instilling like these knowledges, like this knowledge or like say the practice I did to learn these concepts and like once they have it click, um, it's like I don't know. It's like I made their day, and it's like I know they can learn future concepts because I help this with this one foundation that they're learning. Um, So that was really good. And I will say like for me, it's like I gauge how much you enjoy something by how quickly it passes. And with that TA job, like it would always go by really fast. Um, I would get lost in like trying to teach something, we would do something over and over again, and um, my voice would be kind of dry like it is getting now, but it was all worth it once like I knew I was able to teach him something. So I would say like being a TA or like a tutor is probably my favorite job. Um, yeah. What's a skill you wish you had learned but never did? Um, that's a good question. Uh, I like fishing, but like I feel like I always need people to help me out. So learning how to properly fish, I think would be a skill I would like to have. Um, but I think that's a lame answer. I think like I think for anyone like being a good coder is also a really good skill to have because like it's not just for computer science anymore. It's like for a lot of jobs you have now. So it's like if you can be pretty proficient in coding with like one, probably good to know like a couple languages, like I think that'll take you a long way in whatever you do, especially for like higher income type of jobs. And if you are like say a liberal arts or something that is coding is not really a norm and you're doing that, like there's some good opportunities to you that you could probably get. Um, and yeah, so what did you want to be when you grew up? Uh, I wanted to be a lot of things. So first growing up, I think I wanted to be a basketball player because my dad was always watching like college basketball or like um NBA and all that stuff. So I wanted to be a basketball player like when I was little, but like physical sports, I feel like the coordination's not there for me. So never got to that. Wanted to be a vet because I do love animals and I really did well when I was a kid, but I got turned off by medical terminology, and that was just with humans. Like I can't imagine trying to like memorize the anatomy of all these different animals of cats, dogs, pigs, like cows. Like I know some vet students that like they have their work cut out for them. Like I'm not good with like memorizing stuff I'm not really interested in, which is like bones and stuff. Um, musician I wanted to be too. Um, and then I switched to accounting because a little more job security, I would say, and like I do like numbers. So yeah, um, a big like detours, but that's where I am now. How many close friends do you have? So looking at this or thinking about this, like what I consider like a close friend is like someone I can grab my phone, call, and they'll probably pick up. Um, I would say maybe like 8 people, which I think is actually a pretty good number. Um, because I know there's some moments I feel like there's not a lot of close people in my life, but I always think like if I were to call someone, maybe they wouldn't pick up because they're busy, but I feel like they would like call me later or something. I would say like 6, 8, like pretty good friends I have, which honestly like I am proud to have like at least like that number of people I would consider close to me. And of course like I have like a lot of like friends or like acquaintances and stuff I get along with, but close friends I would say that much. 6 to 8. Um what are the best things in life? The best things in life is I may be biased because I just read the close friends thing is like to have people you consider close. So be it like for me it was siblings. I think family is pretty important. Um I would say like good people because I do like to spend time by myself, but like to have people you can learn from, people you can have fun with, people you can have experiences with. It's like those are those are the moments like you remember. That is the time when like you really learn to like you learn from other people. When we read books, it's from someone else writing or typing like their experiences or their thoughts or their stories and stuff. Like we learn from other people. So say to have good people in your life that you can learn from, you can have fun with, like that. Those are the best things in life, I feel. Um, do you miss being a child? Uh, yeah. I mean, I think I was mentioning about how do you say, um, about a child, like you don't really have to worry that much in life about a lot of stuff you have covered by your parents or by guardians or older individuals. So, um, to have less woes in life and just, be with my brothers, be with friends, play games and stuff, read like fiction books without feeling too like guilty. I should be reading some nonfiction. Like I think I think it was a good time. And that's like I feel like if there's a question which I think there may be later, if I could go back, it's like I feel like it's always good to have a head start somewhat. So maybe if I can go back and say like, okay, it's okay to read some nonfiction or to like, work a little bit harder when I was a kid, I think I would do a little bit. But now me saying that now, it's like I think maybe having a good time when I was a kid and stuff like, um, I think I think that's okay, honestly. So I do miss being a kid, if that makes sense. But I still feel like a kid at the same time. If you ruled the world, what are three things you would change? Um, I think what I would do is I would instill a national language. Doesn't have to be English. It could be something else. But I think there are a lot of cultures we don't like. It's harder to learn about or we don't know about because we don't speak their language or we can't communicate properly with them. So I think if all the countries spoke this one language, like we could learn a lot more easily and we get to know more people and stuff because there's billions of people on this globe, but we truly can't get to know them unless we know how to speak or communicate. So I think that'll be one thing. Um, Second, probably be I think education in general is a very good thing. So to find good ways to like improve education with places that, they don't have it as easy. Um, and three, probably like to make investing a little bit like better or like a little bit easier for people because I may be biased, but I think the social security thing we have for at least the US, I know some places like Sweden's a little bit better. Um, it doesn't make people as well off as they think. I think people do kind of know that. So better solutions for retirement, I would say. Um, if you be any animal, what would you choose? Something that flies. So I don't know, like a a falcon, because I know they're pretty fast too. So maybe that. Uh, yeah, so we'll say falcon for now. Do you think you are a good person? Um, I feel like I'm an authentic person. I try to be a good person, but I know my faults and I know I'm not the best person. Um, I can always do better, and like I know sometimes I do mess up. But I will say I do try to hold myself accountable. So I would say I'm a okay person. Like eh, I can't say I'm a good person because I know um I've done some like I'm not saying I've like like done any crimes or anything like that, but I can't confidently say I'm like a good person because I know there are things like I probably messed up in. I know there are things I messed up in. So we'll say I'm an okay person. Um, what does success mean to you? Um, I think success to me is if I provide pretty good value to like people I know or people I don't know about. Um, doesn't have to be like having all this money and stuff. It's like if like people success to me is like if I pass away, I know I made a good impact in the world, if that makes sense. And hopefully I do that in a comfortable way at least. Like I'm not like donating all my money to starve myself or something. Like hopefully I could provide value um through not just money but through other things as such. Like I want to be a professor hopefully one day, so maybe like classes or other acts I can do as well as being a professor. So yeah, I think success would be like having like kind of like a legacy with me. Um, why do people fail at things? Um, it's a good question. Um, so I think, like I said, discipline kind of goes a long way for adults, but I think even for kids and stuff, it's pretty good. Um, people will have bad habits. I mean, I have some bad habits, but knowing how to prioritize and think like the bigger picture and the longer picture. Um, like I know people that spend. It's a very American thing to do. Spend a lot of money on fast food. The thing is, it's like I mean, inflation stuff too. It's like it's getting kind of pricey, but to spend $15 on lunch or dinner every day, if you do that, say every day for a week, it's like trying to do the math in my head, 30, 60, 90, like $105 you're doing. Just having one meal a day of fast food. And then a month's 31 days, you're spending, why am I not mathing correctly? Say it's like $500 you spend just on fast food a month. Like that could easily be 10, like 5,000. I feel like my math's like not mathing right now when usually it's pretty good. Um, but yeah, just knowing like, you know, I know sometimes we have bad moments and like say these like bad habits give us comfort, but we can find comfort in other things. I get comfort sometimes knowing that like I am setting myself pretty well for my future family or for my future in general. Um, so yeah, just like having some discipline and stuff I think goes a long way for success because sometimes it's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's just like, working a little bit every day, and trying to make small improvements in life because success just doesn't happen overnight. It happens with what you've done before and what opportunities you've taken before type of deal. So I think that's why some people fail. They don't consider like those small things adding up, if that makes sense. What makes life so challenging? So I think I mentioned not a lot of people start at the same place. We have our privileges, we have our disadvantages. So that makes life challenging for some people, and some people have to take advantage of more opportunities in life. Um, so I think that's what makes it challenging, and to have that discipline because we are human people, and we have our wants, our desires, and if we can't have everything we want essentially. So we have to prioritize, and sometimes with prioritization, it's like you have to give up things like you want because you need things that you need. So I feel like that's what makes things challenging because you have to correctly prioritize things because if not, then that can make you or other people suffer. Um, what do you think your purpose is? So I think like I said, like I want to provide value to people. So um that's I feel like that's my purpose. It's like hopefully I can um just make people happy, make people learn. Um I just want to better people's lives in general, I would say. Um, what's one regret you have? So I think, like I said, I wasn't a very good student when I was younger, like in high school, early college and stuff. So I think I would try to go back and say like, hey, that you don't have to play games as much. Like just study like a couple hours. But I didn't study in high school, so I would say like just study a little bit more. I also was like very sensitive. I was very um shy also in high school. I would say you know, like I had a lot of friends that cared about me in high school, but I always like thought of myself negatively. So I would go back and say like, hey, like you're surrounded by all these people that love you. Like, you know, why are you shy? Like there's all these people that really care and really love you type of deal. So just, you know, accept their love, love yourself a little bit more. So um yeah, and try to get a little more confidence while I was younger. Um, who in your life do you think loves you the most? Uh, It's a good question. I My mom, I think, like my mom really does care about me. So I think she probably is the one that loves me the most. And I mean, I love both of my parents, but I think my mom does love me the most. And what ways do you feel privileged? Uh, so with me, I mean, even though, like I said, it was kind of hard growing up because I was like, basically this Hispanic that looked white and acted white because I know Spanish. I feel like in the long run, it has helped me somewhat. I know affirmative actions canceled and all that stuff, but um, to have someone that looks and acts white and I could also check mark that I'm Hispanic as well, I think is a pretty good advantage. My parents also like they make a good amount of money. I know there's studies and stuff out there that say like, like if you have more money growing up, like it does help you out in the long run. So I can't ignore like, having my parents like give me the most important things in my life, like a good education. I didn't go to private school, but like, like my needs were pretty easy to get as a kid. So I would say that's probably a privilege. Um, I mean, being born in America is also pretty good too. I mean, the city I was born in probably isn't like the best city to be raised in. I'm sure like other big cities are uh my city isn't that big, but like being in the US I would say is a pretty good like privilege or advantage to be as well. Um so yeah, just like, um my parents had a good amount of money. I'm able to check mark the Hispanic quota basically for some people and being in America, I think those are three privileges I've had at least. Um, if you could live the same exact life, would you? Uh, yeah, I think I would. Just because I am happy where I'm left off, because I'm scared if I didn't, it would be worse. But I know it could be better, or maybe how I say it could have been better faster, if that made sense. If I went back and maybe corrected some things, but if I could re-roll the life I had, I wouldn't re-roll it. I think I would keep it as it is. Are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy. Of course, there's some days I'm a little less happy, but you know, I'm very happy where I am in life. I have those close friends I mentioned about. Uh, I worked pretty hard to get to where I'm at. And of course, I'm trying to work harder and stuff, but where I'm at with the people I know, I'm happy in life. Like I'm satisfied is probably the correct thing to say. Always say to your younger self. So I think I answered this in one of the questions, but um, I would say to put a little bit more time and like, studying a little bit more. Um, the thing with like music was like it didn't get to me naturally as a kid, but I started to think more with intuition or feeling the music than just like trying to count rhythms and all that stuff. And I think that made music like turn out to be like a little bit more fun and stuff. So like learn to like appreciate music and all that stuff, or just just be more appreciative of things in life. I think would go a long way for my younger self. So how do you feel about your mortality? Pretty good. Yeah, I mean my diet's all right. My like my resting heart rate's like at 40, like 38 sometimes, so could be too slow, but I think my health is okay as of now. So if that's what mortality means. When you die, how do you want to be celebrated? So I don't need like a pop and circumstance to be celebrated, but just if people can hopefully acknowledge that, I did something good for them in their life, that's really all I need. I don't need to have people feel sad for me or these negative feelings. Like just hopefully I can go down knowing that I did something good for people. So um my battery's running out, but I think I have two questions. What's the food that everyone should try? So it's called lengua in Spanish, which means tongue. So cow tongue. So you don't just eat the meat. Usually you have it with a corn tortilla, with like guacamole and like salsa and stuff. So with my family, like every Sunday we would have it essentially. Um, and it was just like that's one meal like I can never get tired of. We would usually have that and like donuts. So it sounds gross at first, but it's like a really good barbacoa is like how I would describe it. Um, and yeah, I don't want my battery to die, so I think I'll stop here. So hopefully this is good enough. It's already been like an hour, so hopefully this is fine.